Nobody warns you about this kind of trauma. It doesn't have a name in most households. There's no dramatic story to tell, no moment you can point to and say, that's when everything broke. Because this wound isn't made of what happened to you. It's made of what never did. No one sat with you when you cried. No one asked how your day really went. No one noticed when something was quietly wrong inside you. Psychologists call it childhood emotional neglect, or CEN.
And here's what makes it so dangerous. The children who grow up inside it almost never know it happened. Instead, they develop habits, adaptations, coping strategies so clever, so automatic, that the outside world calls them personality traits. The strong one, the independent one, the easygoing one. But underneath, a blueprint built on survival, not on love. Today, I want to walk you through 8 of these habits. And I want to ask you, honestly, how many of them feel familiar?
1. Hyper-independence, the fortress you built. Let's start with the one our culture rewards the most, doing everything alone. You don't ask for directions. You don't call a friend when you're falling apart. You handle your taxes, your car, your heartbreak, all of it in total silence. And the world applauds you for it. They call it resilience. But here's what the psychology tells us. When a child reaches out repeatedly for comfort, for help, for reassurance, and what they receive in return is a sigh, a dismissal, or just silence, the brain performs a cold calculation. It says, asking for help is a risk, and the risk isn't worth it. So it deletes the button entirely. Your hyper-independence isn't a personality trait. It's a fortress. It's a defense system that says, if I need no one can disappoint me.
When you refuse to be seen in your weakness, you also prevent yourself from being seen at all. And real intimacy, it requires the risk of relying on someone.
2. Not knowing how you feel, the blank inside. Someone asks you, how do you feel about that? And your mind goes completely blank. You're not being evasive. You genuinely don't know. This has a clinical name, alexithymia, a partial disconnection between what your body feels and what your conscious mind can identify. And it almost always traces back to the same root. In a healthy childhood, a parent acts as an emotional mirror. When a toddler cries, the parent says, "You're frustrated because the toy broke." That one sentence does something profound. It labels the feeling, and it confirms that the feeling is real.
But in a neglectful home, that mirror is absent. Your emotions were treated as invisible, or worse, as an inconvenience. So you survived by muting them. You learned to disconnect the wires between sensation and awareness because feeling things was useless. There was no one there to help you carry them. Now, as an adult, you move through life observing rather than experiencing, like you're watching yourself through glass, wondering why everyone else seems so much more alive.
3. Over-explaining, the courtroom in your head. You were 5 minutes late, and you've already prepared a 3-paragraph explanation before the person even reacts. You bought a specific brand of bread, and you immediately explain why. You made a decision, any decision, and you feel the need to build a case for it before anyone questions you. This habit is a ghost from your past, the ghost of a parent or caregiver who didn't respect your preferences, your mistakes, or your needs at face value. You learned early that simply existing wasn't enough. You had to prove your choices were logical, defensible, irreproachable. What you're doing now is called preemptive defense. You're arguing with a judge who isn't in the room anymore. The truth is, you are allowed to make a choice without a dissertation. You are allowed to simply be.
4. The apology reflex,
sorry for existing. Someone bumps into you at the grocery store and you say sorry. You ask a question in a meeting and you say sorry first. Your house has one book out of place when a guest arrives and you apologize. This is not politeness. This is a deeply internalized belief that your presence, your very existence, is an imposition on other people.
If you grew up with a parent who was perpetually exhausted, emotionally unavailable, or simply uninterested, you learned something devastating. That you were too much. That the safest way to exist was to be as small, as quiet, as low maintenance as possible. The apology is the verbal form of shrinking. It's a child saying, "I'm sorry for needing space in your world." And as an adult, you are still saying it to strangers, to colleagues, to empty rooms. You are not a burden for taking up space, but no one ever told you that.
5. The social chameleon. Who am I when no one's watching? You walk into a room and within minutes, you've already adapted. Your tone shifts, your opinions soften. You mirror the energy around you, and you're remarkably good at it. People call it social intelligence, but for many who experienced emotional neglect, this isn't a gift. It's a survival tactic, worn so long it became invisible. Because your home didn't provide a stable emotional baseline,
You became an expert at reading the room, scanning for moods, anticipating needs, finding the right moment to speak. You became a mirror because you weren't safe enough to have a solid self. Now you might be one person with your family, another with your colleagues, another with strangers, and alone, you're left with a haunting question. Who am I when no one needs anything from me? That question is not a flaw. It's a thread. And it leads somewhere important, if you're willing to follow it.
6. Chronic self-doubt, the broken compass. You sent an email an hour ago, and you've already reread it 4 times, wondering if you sounded stupid. You made a decision you were confident about, and now you're not sure at all. You ask your friends if they actually like you, then feel foolish for asking. Here's where this comes from. When a child says, "I'm sad," and a parent responds with, "No, you're not. You're just tired," something quietly devastating happens. The child learns that their internal experience cannot be trusted, that their emotional compass is broken. Psychologists call this gaslighting by omission, and it doesn't require cruelty to cause damage, just consistent indifference. If your perceptions were regularly dismissed or ignored, you stopped trusting them. You started outsourcing your sense of reality to other people, looking for external confirmation of what was true, what was safe, what was real. That pattern lives on in every decision you second guess, in every reassurance you seek, in every moment you trust someone else's read of a situation over your own. Your compass isn't broken. It was just never allowed to develop.
7. Being everyone's therapist. Invisible behind service. You are the person everyone calls when things fall apart. You stay late, you fix things, you listen for hours. And somehow, in the midst of managing everyone else's life, yours remains quietly stagnant. This is called the service-based worth trap.
as a child, you may have discovered something important. The only way to earn a positive response was to be useful. Maybe you cared for younger siblings. Maybe you became the emotional support for a parent who couldn't hold their own life together. Whatever the form, you learned that your value was measured in what you could do, not in who you were.
Now, as an adult, receiving care feels foreign, dangerous even. When someone tries to give to you, your brain offers a warning. What do they want? When does the debt come due? You disappear the moment you have a need of your own. But here's what's true. You are allowed to be the one who needs something. You are allowed to stop fixing long enough to be cared for.
Your worth has never been a function of your usefulness.
The way forward? Reparenting yourself. If you recognized yourself in any of this, the hyper-independence, the constant apologies, the emotional numbness, the doubt, I want to be clear about something. Nothing is wrong with you. Your brain did exactly what it was designed to do. It adapted to a world where care was scarce. It built these habits to protect you when no one else would. But the environment has changed. You are no longer that child, and the armor that saved you is starting to feel very, very heavy. Healing from emotional neglect isn't about fixing a broken person. It's about reparenting the part of you that was left behind. And it starts smaller than you'd expect. It's choosing, I'd prefer the Italian place, instead of, I don't care, you pick. It's waiting 5 seconds before apologizing for something that wasn't your fault. It's letting someone carry the heavy box, even though you could do it yourself. These aren't small things. For someone who spent a lifetime making themselves invisible, these are acts of profound courage.
The people who belong in your life will not see your needs as a burden. They will see them as an invitation to love you. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were simply a child who deserved to be noticed. And it's long past time you started noticing yourself.